We welcome you into Newsmax Now. We begin today with that FBI raid heard around the world. The FBI yesterday raiding the home and the office as well as the hotel room of President Trump's longtime personal attorney, Michael Cohen. Cohen is suspected of several crimes, including bank fraud and campaign finance fraud, stemming from a $130,000 payment that he made before the 2016 election to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Daniels claims that she had an affair with President Trump a decade earlier. President Trump told reporters last week aboard Air Force One that he had no knowledge of any such payment. We also would like to remind everyone that the phone lines are open. We are taking your calls. We encourage you to weigh in. That number, 877-NEWSMAX. That's 877-639-7629. We'd love to hear from you. You can also reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter and on Newsmax.com as well. Here to break this all down for us is the former House Majority Leader Tom DeLay. Also with us, Freedom Watch founder Larry Klayman. And with me for the full hour today, television host and New York Times bestselling author Eric Bolling. Everyone, thanks for being here. Let's get started. In one of the most vivid responses from President Trump came in that soundbite he gave us yesterday. He used words like disgraceful. He called this a witch hunt and an attack on our country. It's worth hearing again. Let's take a listen.
So I just heard that they broke into the office of one of my personal attorneys, good man, and it's a disgraceful situation. It's a total witch hunt. I've been saying it for a long time, and it's a disgrace. It's frankly a real disgrace. It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for. So when I saw this and when I heard it like you did. I said, that is really now in a whole new level of unfairness.
All right, I want to start with the first question for Tom. Tom, you, of course, have been through the ringer when it comes to a federal investigation. What was your response when you heard that the FBI took what some called an unprecedented step, breaking into President Trump's lawyer's office, his home, and his hotel room?
Well, I was outraged, to be honest with you, but not surprised. This is how they operate in the Department of Justice and the FBI. I've been saying it to you and many for the last 10 years. They are totally out of control. Prosecutorial misconduct is absolutely out of control. This is about, in some people's mind, a campaign issue with Michael Cohen, and the campaign issue is not criminal. Usually what happens is they find something wrong that you did in the campaign and fine you for it, not put you in jail. So this is so out of control. Somebody has to take control of this, and I bring it down on the head of Jeff Sessions. He has got to get control of the Department of Justice and stop this madness.
President Trump called out Jeff Sessions as well yesterday. Eric, you want to hop in here and make a comment on this?
Well, I think Tom's right. It goes back to Jeff Sessions. Remember, Jeff Sessions was the one who stepped aside to allow his deputy to call for Mueller to be called in to do the investigation. If he hadn't done that, he said he could have just eliminated all of this. Remember, this started as an investigation into whether there was collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. Now we're all of a sudden raiding Michael Cohen's private office, his home, his hotel suite. I mean, it really is a witch hunt. And Donald Trump is 100% right when he says this is now verging on unconstitutional impingement of client attorney privilege. I mean, think about what they're going to go through. They're going to go through everything that Michael Cohen has in his office. They're going to start pulling threads every which way. I mean, who in their right mind thinks that this should be going on right now when the whole purpose was to find out whether there's collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians? And by the way, we're almost a year into this investigation, and not one shred of evidence has been turned up, but yet they continue to go until they find at least something they can hang their hat on and justify their being.
There are a lot of people, Eric, who have been supportive of Robert Mueller, have backed him and said that Trump needs to give him his space. They're now questioning this. They wonder where this is eventually going to wind up. But we talked about Jeff Sessions. I also want to talk about Robert Mueller himself. The media seems to almost be daring President Trump to fire him. And this was a question that one member of the media threw at President Trump yesterday. Take a listen.
Why don't I just fire Mueller? Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens. But I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him. Again, they found nothing. And in finding nothing, that's a big statement. So we'll see what happens. I think it's disgraceful, and so does a lot of other people. This is a pure and simple.
Hey, why did you fire him? But I tell you what he did do, what Mueller did do by raiding Cohen's office. They guaranteed that Donald Trump, any good attorney will tell Trump, do not testify or do not get deposed by Robert Mueller now. They took Donald Trump testimony or deposition off the table, and that's their own fault. Now, they could have just laid back and said, let's continue this investigation. Trump, will you come in? And maybe he would have, and maybe he wouldn't have. Who knows? Donald Trump, he makes his own decisions. But now every attorney working for the Trump Donald Trump personally will tell him, no chance, no way. You just have to now sit back and let this play out.
Well, we just so happen to have an attorney with us and someone who's paid very close attention to this. And to Eric's point, Larry, ABC News is now reporting following the raid, the president is less inclined to sit down with Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Do you see under any circumstance now that President Trump would actually go forth taking questions from Mueller or his team?
No, Eric is absolutely right about that, John. There's no question that he should not sit down. He's never been in the position to sit down with Mueller to go into a perjury trap. But I disagree with Eric, who usually does very fine commentary and did here, with the fact that Mueller should not be fired. You can't worry about what's going to happen right now. You have to do what's right for the American people. So replace Sessions, replace Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, have them fire him. And we have lawsuits at Freedom Watch. You can go to freedomwatchusa.org. You have Mueller exposed for criminal grand jury leaks. Now, if we finally get documents to show that, and get action by the Inspector General and the Office of Professional Responsibility, then perhaps Mueller will be forced to resign himself. But he's got to go now.
Well, okay, so Larry, I would agree with that. I would say if you do find shortcomings with the Mueller investigation, lean on him and get the Department of Justice to say, hey, either you clean up this act, finish it up, and let's go, or resign. I just don't. The optics, the political optics going into a midterm election, firing the special prosecutor could be damaging. You could lose the House. I would say lean on the guy, let him recuse himself, or let him resign himself.
Let me pose this question hold on one second. Let me pose this question to Tom DeLay because, we're kind of gearing towards this question. I just want to go ahead and ask it. If everybody is hell-bent on taking Donald Trump out, if this is what's actually going on here with Robert Mueller, then why not just fire him, Tom, as some have suggested, because the alternative is this witch hunt continuing?
Well, I just have to say, we are in a constitutional crisis as we speak. Everybody seems to want to circle around that issue. We are in a constitutional crisis. We have Mueller, who's out of control. The Department of Justice is out of control. There is nobody in charge over Department of Justice, as it seemed to be. And for us to step back and say, oh, my goodness, it's bad optics, is not good politics, to be honest with you. It's may not be good optics to Trump's enemies. It may not be good optics for the media, but Trump needs to take control of this and be on offense and go after the Department of Justice in many different ways and not allow this to happen. And he needs to do it in a bigger context rather than just about two institutions are completely corrupt and they need to be cleaned out, and Trump's going to clean it out. It's called Clean Out the Swamp.
I wrote a book about that. I wrote a book about draining the swamp. I would agree that Trump can lean on the Department of Justice. I get that. And the Department of Justice is overseeing the investigation. But my point is, and I'm not disagreeing with the fact that Trump should lean on DOJ to clean up this IG report, clean up the investigation, finish it up. But if you go ahead and fire Robert Mueller into a midterm election, that will be the talking point of every single congressional race up for right-left. We'll lose the Republicans will lose the House.
It already is. Now's the time for action. Something's got to be done. He didn't go after Stormy Daniels' information when he went into Michael Cohen's office with a warrant and with the U.S. attorney. And where is Sessions? It's about getting something to indict the president and people around the president. That's what it's about. So it's time to swing for the fences, not be afraid. Where's the president's lawyers in all of this? Not Michael Cohen, but the ones that are supposed to be defending him. They've been inert. So the president needs to take action himself. He can't worry about appearances. He's not going to get convicted in the Senate. They don't have 2/3 votes. The Republicans are not suicidal. And let's end this agony as we have a situation in Syria, in Iran, and in North Korea that needs to be dealt with, among many others.
Well, so that may be the answer right there, Larry, is you go ahead and you deal with the things that really matter, like North Korea, like what's going on in Syria, which Donald Trump is doing. Look at what's going on with China. We talked about this China tariff thing. He's on board on top of all the things that matter. If he starts playing around with firing Mueller right now, I think first of all, Mueller has found nothing in the better part of a year, probably spent $100 million of taxpayer money finding nothing. Lean on him to finish the investigation, but don't fire the guy.
Well, Eric's right, because we haven't had a chance to talk about the China situation. We are going to talk about that with Eric. But I wanted to point to a comment that a very astute member of the Newsmax audience wrote on our Facebook page, or actually on our Newsmax website page. And they're asking, where is the ACLU in all of this? If this were Clinton, there would be screaming on every news outlet. And that is the question here. You heard this extreme step taken by these investigators to go ahead and break into the office of an attorney. And Eric talked about the attorney-client privilege being dead, tweet that President Trump sent today. And that's the question, Larry, is where is attorney-client privilege as it stands in 2018 when you look at this?
It doesn't exist anymore, Eric. And we know from the two cases I brought against the National Security Agency where they get everybody's emails. They were getting lawyers' emails. They were getting mine. That was the standing that I had in court to get a judge to enjoin preliminarily this mass surveillance 2 and 3 years ago. But it's completely gone now. There's no rule of law. The former speaker, Tom DeLay, is absolutely right. He's right on the mark. And he himself was subjected to this kind of persecution. So he knows. This is an out-of-control law enforcement system, which is being run by the establishment, Republican establishment, Democrat establishment, and the president needs to take action himself. Both of these establishments want him gone. So why get down and bow down to them? Do what needs to be done. The American people will
Larry,
understand.
I'm not saying bow down to him, and I'm not disagreeing with you that he needs to do things to lean on the department. Remember, the IG answers to the Deputy Attorney General because the Attorney General recused himself. So lean on them, I get it, to finish your investigation. You found nothing. You're wasting taxpayer money. My point is the optics of firing Mueller right now, it appears to me that it would be very, very detrimental on a political standpoint alone, not legal standing, politically alone. It'd be too dangerous to losing the House.
Gentlemen, thanks so much. Interesting conversation.